Hi, I'm Lucy Paget, and I want to talk a little bit about healing and magic and how our way in to discovering and feeling the magical essence of healing is really through our anatomy. So as you may have seen, I have a workshop coming up on October 30th and then the second one on the 6th of November, which is all about this topic, healing and magic. And there really is a way into feeling the subtle energy of the body, to feeling with your hands, to feeling it within yourself, and to using it to use it to cultivate wellness. And when we cultivate wellness in this way, let me explain a few things. When we cultivate wellness in a way where we're feeling the subtle energy of the body as well as our normal physical wellness, it helps us to anchor in to a place within us that feels very much like coming home to us. It feels very grounded. It feels very connected to this essential source, as well as connected to nature and being supported by our environment. But as you may or may not know, I'm an osteopath. I spent more than 20 years studying healing, treating people with injuries and illnesses, and also doing yoga work. And always with yoga, what I loved was creating movement sequences. And so in the last couple of years, what I've been able to do is bring together these passions of mine with the depth of learning that I have and create wellness movement sequences that really hold this essence of healing and coming home to ourselves. And the feel of it is magical. And so maybe you're at this place in your life where you don't think magic actually exists. You don't think those beautiful stories of kind of hands-on healers, that doesn't exist. There's so much evidence around us in our normal sensory way of experiencing the world and in the types of treatments you may have received with massage and with physio. That it's kind of like, okay, it's like there's nuts and bolts of things. I don't really feel energy. I'm not that aware. I'm not that sensitive. Well, you're probably wrong, and I'm going to teach you in these two workshops to feel subtle energy and to have an experience of healing that reconnects you with this incredible, rich place that feels magical, which I think comes from the imaginal world, which is one of our greatest gifts. So if you are a creative person wanting to dust off your creativity and really have an imagination reboot, reset, not just using your imagination as like a flight of fancy, but actually use your imagination to go into a state of wonder and to receive knowings, to improve your intuition, this workshop is for you. If you are a healer, if you are a movement teacher, a yogi, this workshop is absolutely for you. What you will learn, you'll be able to apply to your practice and also to what you teach. Okay, so let me go into anatomy and healing. Anatomy, healing, and magic. Okay, so we have the physical body. And I'm going to draw the physical body like that. And this, when we start thinking about wellness, one of the first things we need to consider is the nervous system. We have the brain and we have the spinal cord. And we have around and within the brain and spinal cord this fluid. I'm going to draw little waves. And the fluid moves, circulates around the spinal cord, circulates around the brain. Why do you need to know this? Because the fluid holds within it this, to me it feels like an energetic force. And I call it this amazing word, vitality. And so often when I treat people, the body feels like heavy, bogged down. It feels like we need to dust off a layer of debris. And so much of that comes from the nervous system. The set point of our nervous system fluctuates through the day. This balancing act happens. Very often though, through leading stressful lives, we get kind of stuck in this place where we are bracing a little bit, or we're feeling anxious, or we're feeling heavy and tired. Sometimes we fluctuate these things. And those are all nervous system adaptation states. And what we want to do is we want to get the nervous system regulated and freed up of this holding patterns, which some would call trauma patterns. They're these kind of residual habits of how we respond to stress, and they end up just staying stuck like a layer of heavy clothing on the body because we never fully come back to wellness. We do our practices like our yoga practice, our breathing practice, going for a walk, which dust off the body, and we're like, oh, okay, I feel a little bit better. Or we go for a drive, we're like, okay, I feel a little bit better. But then we don't take the next step of like, okay, I feel better. So now what is my enrichment practice? And when we combine like an enrichment practice with a feeling better practice, now we start to connect in more deeply to our desires, our longings, and the place where potency and vitality really starts to rise and stay in the body, where we're not just losing it yet again like a leaky sieve to the typical patterns and stresses that we are having every day. So probably right now, I'm going to say you're like a leaky sieve because you do your yoga, you go for a walk, whatever it is, you have your coffee, you have your moments, and then you live your normal life, which just is taking energy from you. So then what we need to do is we need to drop into what I call an enrichment practice. And that is where we do our wellness practice. That's just part of our natural habit, and practice obviously is the very word, its nature is we have to practice. There's no super shortcuts, but I can give you a 15-minute enrichment practice, 15 mins, that is going to help you to drop into that place of where the magic resides. And the magic resides, I'm going to say, in the imaginal consciousness. So I'm not using just the word imagination. But this imaginal consciousness is the place where I think our intuition resides. And if you haven't had a chance to watch it on YouTube, I have a free video where I'm interviewed about intuition. And we can think about intuition in two different ways. We can think about it as inner tuition and extra tuition. And extra tuition to me is that place where you receive knowings. You suddenly you're like, oh yeah. So for me, when I have been writing the novel that I've been writing, I get these knowings that like, oh, of course, yes, the coyote in my story, of course he's the guardian of the forest. It's like, yeah, of course he is. It's like you just know things. So in that example, that's an imaginal way, but sometimes you just know things about your wellness. You know things, maybe just like a bright moment of like, oh, I get it. This is how the pieces of my life fit together. Or, oh, I get it. I'm out in the field, in the forest, and I have a sense of the trees having a personality or an energy. Oh, I get it. Dandelions are like warrior plants. They are so powerful. And that's why they support the livers, which they do. The liver. So in this program that I'm going to be teaching, which is just 2 weekends, I'm going to teach you how to drop in, first of all, learning about the nervous system and learning about the movement of fluids in the body so that we can get better physical health, balanced neurological health, which then has an effect, and this is so amazing, on our hormones. And how many women do we know, including you, including me, whose hormones are a little bit unbalanced, quite possibly because of stress and cortisol and stealing of some of our essential female hormones is this common thing which just ties in. There's so many pieces, and if you trust me, I have the pieces of anatomy, so you don't need to learn them all, and I can cut through and then give you a guidance, give you a map, give you a framework, and give you some beautiful practices that will feel like you're coming both to a gentle anatomy school, but also to a magic school. Come and join me in magic school, because there is a place where we can delight in the idea of magic and witches and dragons and all sorts of wonderful things that I think live in this place of imaginal consciousness, which I think is not just imagination. I think there is this place, as the shamans would say, where we can journey to and we can receive great wisdom, and we can be enriched by it. We can be so deeply enriched and nourished and inspired by it. And the nourishment, that is the enrichment practice. We need more nourishment these days. We need nourishment that fills us up with such a sense of, this is who I am. Thank God, here I am. And the softness and the kindness of that. And then with that sense of who I am, there is a force that is deeply empowering and deeply connected to what you really want to be doing, what you're longing for, so that then you can start to design the world around you a little differently. And this piece of design we're going to come to in another couple of workshops that I'll teach closer to the new year because the time is so appropriate. But designing our lives, going along with a more feminine creative journey is really the next step. But first of all, let's get some magic back. So please come and join me. The workshops are October 30th, 10 in the morning Mountain Time, and November 6th, same time. And they're recorded, so even if you can't make them, I am going to fill you up, so can't make the workshops live. You get the recording and you will get such good information. Plus, as a free bonus, I'm adding in 4 classes that I taught about wise women and healers, witches, wise women and healers, which were a series of classes I taught around this time last year with a lesser known history of witches and some really cool practices to help you, and practices that all have the feel of being magical so that we can drop into that place of sparkles and delight. So please join me. You can find the registration link either just below this video or in the bio if you're looking at this in Instagram, and we'll do some really, really good work. Okay? Looking forward to connecting.